Welcome to Main Talk conversations about hair. I don't know if we got technical difficulties going on or not. It looked like my screen came up. I don't know what was going on, but happy Monday. How you doing today?
I was like, what is going on?
Listen, I was just trying to share the Main Talk song, and I don't know what happened. I was just trying to share, Main Talk. That's all I was just trying to do. Just trying to share Main Talk. I wasn't trying to do anything else but just share Main Talk. Are you there, co-host? Are you there?
I thought you were talking.
Like, come on, like, are you
there? Johnny?
Listen, I think, so let's start over. Watch this. Listen.
Hello.
Okay, we're going to start the music one more time. We're going to start this over. Main Talk, because, it's a full moon. I don't know what's going on, the screen sharing, but we're going to start this over because we have a very exciting show today. And the way we do it is we just going to keep doing it until we get it right. How about that?
It was our pre-party.
Right. Main Talk. I answer, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm telling you what it was. It was our pre-party that we had prior to the show coming on. Okay.
Well, so, listen, I don't know what happened.
Down before you get ready to come on, right?
But listen, I don't know what happened, but I am really excited about our show today. Today is a part 2 of our show, right? So we're excited
to name people and about how they lose the weight. Last week we had the professionals on, we had the doctor on, and we had the trainer on, and they told you things that you can do. But today we're excited because we actually have consumers on who has done either one, both, or several of the things that we talked about on last week. So now you get to hear from people just like me and you who've gone through this journey, and I'm excited, Deshaun.
Well, for those who have not watched the show last week was all about killing the fat. We had a doctor on who was a bariatric surgeon, right? Who's a doctor, who that's what she does. And then we also had Jill, who is a fitness trainer. And the whole conversation started because Ianta was talking about, people wanting to make a choice of maybe getting lipo, and how sometimes you could be shunned by people if you make a decision to get lipo, or maybe there are some instances where people have to have bariatric surgery. And then there's just some people who just simply, get down to the hard work and lose it all. And so that's the segue into our first guest. Why don't you tell them about our first guest?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Deshaun. You was on a roll. I was sitting back chilling and smiling like, let's bring her in.
I don't know. We already had one person on the line with a drink. And so I'm trying to figure out, is everybody having a little bubbly tonight? It didn't tell me because I don't know. But anyway, I'm trying
and it wasn't me, just FYI, because, I'll just say. But our very first guest, I am so excited. We reached out to her because we have seen her pictures, how she's transformed over, well, she'll tell us how long, but we actually just had someone on and didn't know who she was, because she has transformed. She has started a new life journey, and her name is LaShondra Little. Come on in, LaShondra.
Let's just welcome her onto the show. And I also welcome, LaShondra. Welcome to Main Talk conversations, not your average conversations about hair.
Right. Thank you for having me today.
Well,
LaShondra, before we get started with LaShondra, but I do, because I like to, let everybody know how we connect through our Black Girl Magic. So I just want to thank Sabrina Clark for connecting me with you to bring you on. So thank you, Sabrina. It takes a village, and we all have to lift each other up and connect and share. So thank you, Sabrina Clark. Hopefully you're watching.
Well, LaShondra, Ianta has been telling me more. I'm not your friend on Facebook, so I'm going to let her take this. She always want to put it back on me, but she had been telling me about your journey. And when we always have our briefings about what we want to talk about, she was like, she really wanted to bring you on because she was just really impressed with your weight loss journey. And we know that during this time of COVID, some people are at home gaining weight, right? and because we're eating, we're not out moving as much as we used to. And she's like, but oh, let me tell you about somebody who has got it in, who has made this commitment to her journey. So we just wanted to bring you on for you just to talk about, what made you want to start this journey? What made you want to do it this way? Because we know that people can do bariatric surgery, they can do the gastric sleeve, they can get lipo. What made you really want to buckle down to and work out to get the fat off or kill the fat by working out?
So I chose working out. I would say I've always worked out. I've always been someone who's been very active. But what has happened over the last couple of years, my eating habits weren't the best. And so the diet wasn't the best thing. And so as I took on leadership positions and changed positions, I went from a very busy, hectic lifestyle of traveling the world to more of a sedentary lifestyle where I was sitting at a desk, or I would go sometimes, but it wasn't quite moving as much as I used to. And it wasn't until actually almost this time last year, November last year, our chapter hosted an event called Soulful Sundays. And when we posted the pictures on Facebook, I saw this picture of myself and I was like, oh my goodness, who is that person? Because I didn't recognize myself and realize that much I had packed on that many pounds. I just really didn't know. And it really just took me seeing that picture and saying, okay, let me figure out what's going on. And then there was a friend of mine who had recently dropped a lot of weight, and she said, check out low carb keto lifestyle, check out that, do some research and see how that works. So I spent some time researching, looking at that lifestyle. And so I literally started with the food first. So I started with what I was eating, what I was putting in my body, knowing what I was eating on a daily and really weekly basis. And so it started there first. And so I probably did that for the first few months before I even started back adding the workout regimen to it. And so for me, it wasn't like there was a knock on surgery or a knock on any of those things. It was more so of, I had the tools, I knew what I needed to do. I've told other people how to do it. I have a dad that's a fitness nut who, I was raised with knowing the things to do. And so it was more so of me putting that to work and really being the role model and the example of practicing what I preach, because I couldn't tell other people to make sure they're practicing self-care and taking care of themselves when I wasn't doing the same thing. Because I know oftentimes as Black women, we tend to be the superwoman, and we can run the meeting, we can cook, we can do all of these things, and we put ourselves on the back burner. And so I was spending a lot of time, I was doing things for other people, volunteering in the community, doing all those things, but I wasn't taking care of my health or myself. And I need to be around, I want to be around and live and be healthy. And so I know I had to make those changes to do those things.
And so, and that was very, very good. That was a good synopsis of why you're doing it and what made you do it. But for the people who are watching, right? The thoughts that you were having, they have those thoughts. They look at pictures. I know someone, I'm not gonna call any names, you can take a picture, a selfie with them, and you gotta take about 15, like, no, get this angle, right. For my question is,
I think we know the same. I think we know the same person.
My question is, LaShondra, because women are watching this and they hear you, right? But it's hard to kind of get out of your own way. So my question is specifically, how were you feeling mentally? Like when you saw yourself in that picture, right? You said it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't really realize that I put so much weight on, like, who is this person? But what did that do for you mentally? Because that had to be something that was in you to click at that time, because you've seen yourself in the mirror, right? But at that particular time, your mental had to be in a place to say, hey, listen, I don't want to do this anymore. So can we just talk about how you were feeling mentally to even let's first talk about how you were feeling when you saw it, and what made you be at the place to say that I'm way down here, I don't look good, I want to look better. What made you say from that mental space, I gotta move on? We know you have the tools, most of us do, right? But how do we get to that space? How do we get to the point? How do we get to the spot? How do we get to step one to say, let's do this? So if you could talk about your mental.
And definitely, that definitely was not a good mental place. Like when you look at that picture and you're like, Oh my goodness. And I wish I probably should have sent you that picture. But it's almost, when you had that picture on the flyer. So that picture on the poster was September last year. And so this was only like a few months after that picture. And I was like, who? And that picture was from a 5K. So like I was clearly working out, but if you're not feeding or eating the right things, it don't matter if you work out, if you're going home and you eat ice cream, you know, just not eating the right things, because you can't, like one of my old trainers, you can't out train a bad diet. You can't.
That's
Right.
It does not matter what you do. You can't. You can't do that. And so for me, it was more so who, and then not only looking at that picture of saying that didn't even look like a healthy person, even though, you know, from a facial perspective, from just like the outside, yes, I still look nice and those things, but for me looking at it, I was like, that she doesn't even look healthy. Like that does not look like someone who's telling other people you should be practicing self-care, you should be doing these things, taking care of yourself. I always remember take care of yourself, and I wasn't following that. And so for me, like how some people have the picture of like their person of who they want to be, my picture was a picture of myself, of a picture of myself prior to me taking the position as chapter president. As actually Sabrina Clark, who you mentioned, she could tell you, I showed her this picture and I said, I need to get back to this girl. Like, where is she? Because this not that picture, that ain't her. So where did she go in just this little bit of time? Because I became chapter president in 2017, and here it is, you know, it's 2019. I'm like, where did she go? And so it was one of those things where it's clicking, and honestly, like my shirt says, but God, like you have to have some prayer. Because there are times when you're just like, forget it. I don't care. I'm gonna go eat this ice cream. There are some days you just don't want to do anything. But I know it's not just about me, because like you said, there are people. I do know there are people watching, and because there are sometimes where I don't post something and people's like, and then somebody will say, but your posts inspire me. Your posts get me motivated to go work out. And so then that's why I continue, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is getting on people's nerves or whatever, but I was like, you never know who is out there helping. And so to look at this picture, like on the screen from September, literally September last year, same time frame, where I'm just like, so now, you know, 80 pounds later, that's the picture. This is the picture right there in that gray and white dress. I saw that picture and was like, who is that? That was the picture that did, like literally, that was the picture. That was the picture that did.
And so LaShondra, so as we talk about your mental health in this whole situation, and the reason I talk about that a lot is that we know that what people don't talk about a lot is that weight affects you mentally, right? And when you get in your own mental space in your head and start beating yourself up, it's hard for you to get out, right? How has your mental changed as you have been losing the weight? I mean, I see you glow up. I mean, that's my excitement of seeing you. You know, I see you glow. It seems like you're smiling more, and it may not be you smiling more. It may be that your face is thinner, right? So how has been how's your mental been since you started losing the weight and you're becoming this new person? Because you look fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's really the mental piece is the more clarity. You have more, it's clarity. Like you're energized more, you're eating the right things. And so you don't have this fog that seems like that's around you, where sometimes your spirit can be dampened. And so like literally every morning, like I made it an effort. Like sometimes I would get out and walk, but I was like, I don't have to go outside. And honestly, when I work out at home, I ain't even got to put on clothes like that. I can just have on my sports bra and whatever. And so literally I wake up every morning, feet touch the ground. I'm literally going to my laptop and turning on my TV and turning on the workout program, because I made a commitment to me to say, you know what? I'm not going to check a text. I'm not going to check an email. I'm not responding to anything until I've had some meditation time and really had the time to say, okay, get my workout in. And then once I've worked out, showered and all of that, then I can be okay to the world. Like now I can give you myself, versus in the past, it was going to sleep at night, the phone in your hand, you're responding to emails, waking up before you can get out of bed, before you pray or do anything, you're responding to emails, you're responding to text messages. And it's like, you know what? They're going to be all right, because if something happens to you, guess what? Your job going to be posted.
That's right.
Your position is going to be somebody, they're going to appoint somebody into your position. And so it had to be, those are the things from a mental perspective you have to think of, that it's okay to choose you. So that's why sometimes you'll see my hashtag says choosing me. It's okay to choose yourself. Like it's okay, because there's nothing not choosing you means you're not going to do what you're going to die, you know, because you're unhealthy,
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
sleeping, you're having sleepless night. So you do have to make the decision to say, I'm going to choose me. And so that's what I'm saying from a mental place. And you have to get there. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. But even now, my chapter members and friends can say to you, can be able to tell you that sometimes they'll text me and I'm like, finishing my workout, I'll get back to you. Or like, I actually have that where I've created that as one of my messages now as a shortcut. So now I can just, when somebody's texting, finishing my workout, you know, or what have you. So I just, for me, that first part of the day has now have become just for me. And then what I've tried to do now is pretty much every Sunday I'm posting self-care Sunday. Do something, whether it can be sitting at home watching Netflix, you know, whatever it may be, going for a walk, but take at least one day out the week to say, that's how you can start it. Take one day out the week to say, I'm going to do something for myself and focus on myself. And it started from that one day and then leading up to the point where it can be every day, where you're going to make sure that at some point during the day, you're taking some time for yourself and that you're taking care of your mind, body, and spirit.
How many days a week do you work out? 5 to 6
days. It just depends. We only, right now, I have been doing 7 days a week only because we're in a challenge at work. And so I was in the lead and you don't want to lose your lead. And so then I'm finding myself having to do more. So right now it's been 7 days, but probably once this challenge ends at the end of the month, they'll probably go back. Because you have to have rest days. And then sometimes for me, a rest, it could be where I might do something more low impact, like a yoga or, you know, something like that. But you do have to, sometimes you got to give your body time to rest.
LaShondra, and before we move on to our other guests, I want to ask you a question, because many women who are watching, like we said, this whole journey, and it's been awesome with the hard things that you have done to, you know, stay on track. But what do you do about those desires and those urges for those things you used to like to eat? You know, I don't know what you used to like to eat. That's those chips and those candies or that sugar.
I'm a baker. I'm a baker, and I actually cook a lot. But for me, I found the alternative way to make it. And so, like chocolate chip cookies, I love cookies. I have not had any white flour since last year, probably around this time last year. So I've learned how to make them with coconut and almond flour, right? With, you know, things like that. And so different things that I like, I figured out, you know, how can I make this a little bit healthier? Yeah. And I noticed and I was like, this is probably what other people have been doing for years, you know, how they've been able to sustain. And so, and of course, sometimes if you just, you know, want something, you don't have to deprive yourself, but I've figured out other ways to know, because I don't touch white flour, white sugar. I don't touch sugar, nothing at all. I have not touched it, but I found monk fruit sweetener, which I really like. And so I use monk fruit sweetener to sweeten certain things that I'm cooking or things of that nature. So I just found healthy alternatives to the things I like.
Well, that's good, because a lot of people feel like they can't work out because they just don't want to give it up, but finding the alternative. And that's what I wanted to hear, because I know I've been a big Weight Watchers
playing around with it, because there's been some stuff that's just been discussed and I'm like, oh, this is not good. But just continue to play around, mixing, doing different things until you find what works. So I know I got some good shortbread cookies, chocolate chip cookies. I make a great cauliflower mac and cheese. So just different things that we know. A cornbread out of coconut flour. Can you imagine that? Cornbread out of coconut flour, a little almond flour, and then I bought some corn extract, that flavor. The corn is the flavor extract to put that in.
All right. Well, I know you was going to ask something. Did you have anything else?
I was just going to ask LaShondra to real quickly tell us in a nutshell what the keto diet is, because you mentioned that. So before you go, if you could just tell us in a nutshell what the keto diet is, because I know some people know and some people don't.
Well, it's really just because some people, I go in between like keto, low carb, but it's pretty much watching your carbs. So it's very much a low carb, sort of higher fat. But the misconception is that the fat is just you eating butter and bacon and junk. But no, it's more so of like avocado. You're eating, you know, using avocado or eating avocado, salmon, and I eat lots of vegetables and fruit. You still can eat your fruit, but I'm just not eating a lot of bread. I'm not eating a bunch of potatoes. So I've learned how to like radishes and other different things versus some of the foods that are high in carbohydrates. Some people count net carbs. So I count pretty much net carbs. So I try to stay under 25 net carbs a day in everything that I'm eating. And so a lot of leafy green vegetables and things of that is pretty much my diet. So high protein and veggies, basically.
Thank you.
But somebody on the post, people are saying, that's dedication. And somebody else said that you looking good, girl. You're looking good. So
you do look good. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story. I know people ask you all the time. Thank you for just being an inspiration to everybody. We really appreciate it, and keep up the good work and persevere.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining us. Now that's dedication. I mean, that's real dedication. You already know I'm a sugar head, so I couldn't be on any diet that's going to deprive me of sugar. But the alternative for me, like I found the stevia, once I got away from what you call the chemical sugars and all of that, like the Splendas and all of that, I had to get out of that first and then move into something more healthy. So I like that she's talked about the monk fruit and, all those things like that. So those are good things that she talked about, but that's real dedication, real dedication.
Yeah.
Well, we know, I guess I'm gonna carry it on since I don't know what you're looking at, but we gonna carry on. But, we had two other guests, like last week we talked about bariatric surgery as well as lipo. So our next two guests have both one have had bariatric surgery and the other one had lipo. So we want to bring them on. We have Mr. Tyrone White, and we have Miss Allison Howes that's going to be joining us next. Welcome to Main Talk, y'all. Welcome to Main Talk, conversations about hair. Tyrone, we can't see your head. There we go. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Doing all right.
Tyrone, can you hear us?
I'm doing fabulous here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, well, this looks like a party going on right here, okay?
Hi. Thank y'all for agreeing to come on.
Thank you for having us, Ayanta.
But listen, since you spoke first, Allison, let's talk about, so Allison, you are my neighbor. Just full disclosure to everybody, Allison is my neighbor. And I remember when she first moved in with her little babies that's all grown up now. One day we were having a conversation and you had said something about, your diabetes was just like crazy. You was at the hospital. So you was like, you had to do something about it. So tell us what did you do to kind of overcome the whole diabetes thing? We're going to the hospital. What did you do? Did you do bariatric surgery?
Well, yes, I did bariatric surgery, but it wasn't diabetes, it was high blood pressure.
Oh, high blood pressure.
High blood pressure that was my issue. And basically I'd be walking around it with high blood pressure, like 180 over 130.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like stroke blood pressure all the time, literally. And so I would have to run to the hospital and get it down. And it was just too freaking much, you know what I'm saying? And so I just finally said, you know what? I got to get this weight off quick in order to save my freaking life. It was just that simple. I didn't have time to try to figure out what type of eating plan I'm going to talk about or what type of exercise plan I'm going to talk about, because of course my entire life I've done diets and I've done working out. So you know what I say? I know that the now ain't the time. I gotta go in and I have to get this weight off. If that's gonna help this blood pressure issue that I gotta do it. And so that's exactly the reason why I went and I had a bariatric surgery to get the weight off, because again, I couldn't even control my blood pressure. Say it again, baby.
I'm sorry, I was asking what type of surgery did you have?
Oh, the gastric sleeve. Okay. The sleeve. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gastric sleeve. Basically where they take about 80% of your stomach out. They leave you with about 20%, like the shape of a banana. And so it's really the same thing. You're just not able to eat as much in one sitting, which, is the goal all the time. So it's a really cool process. It was seamless. I had no complications, no issue whatsoever. And I'm honestly glad I did it, because otherwise, it saved my life.
And what did it do for your blood pressure numbers? How are they looking now?
Oh God, yeah, I became normal. Because here's the thing. You need to be able to take a high blood pressure medication so you can just keep it normal. See, there was no medicine that I could take. Nothing controlled my blood pressure. Nothing controlled it. I mean, I was just constantly with that ridiculous blood pressure. And so I was just like, the only way I know to be able to help this out is just get some of this weight off. And you know, I wasn't like gigantic. I was only like 220 pounds maybe. And here's the funny part. Y'all want to hear the funny part? The funny part is that I had to gain weight in order to get them to pay for my bariatric surgery. So you know I did. I gained weight so they would pay for my bariatric surgery. And so I had, because again, you have to have a BMI of like 35. And so I listen.
You got it there.
Eat cream, eat a whole bunch of bread, you'll gain it.
Exactly.
I got to my BMI to be 35. Right at 35. So it wasn't like I was like 400 pounds or nothing. I had to gain weight in order to be able to qualify to have surgery. And that's what I did. That's what Lux would have done.
Exactly. So Tyrone, moving on to you, Tyrone. Now, you know, Tyrone's story is a little bit different. Tyrone works out. He keeps his body tight. However, there were some parts of your body, because let's just face it, you're vain, right? You're a vain person. So
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So tell us, so you had lipo, and you had lipo in two. Okay, tell us what you had.
No, I didn't have lipo. Lipo is the traditional. I had smart lipo, which is not as invasive. And what it does is this triggers certain parts. And I am a man of a certain age, and men gain weight in their belly. They may get love handles. They may get a little fat on their stomach. And so when I first decided to get smart lipo, and I was just discussing it, everybody was so against it. Oh, you need to work out. You need to work out. You work out. I worked out. And when I take my clothes off, I am lovely underneath. It was just different areas that just would not come off. And that is what happens. So I first got my love handles removed, and I felt lovely. And as you all know, I had a personal trainer, so I was working out, so my body was tight. And then maybe a few years later, when I had to get on blood pressure medicine, as did Allison, sometimes blood pressure medicine changes the dynamics of the fat disposition in your body. And so I started to gain weight on my back area. And as you say, I am a little vain, and I still wanted to be able to go on the beach and take my shirt off without having that little bit. But you know, most people say work out, but they didn't know my story. I didn't like how it looked, and I didn't care what nobody else had to say, because there were so many people saying, "Oh God, you just need to work out."
Yeah, and so,
but I did.
That's one of the reasons that we even had this topic come up. You know, it should not matter how you decide to get rid of that extra melt the fat away, as we called it. You shouldn't get shunned because you want to do it one way or the other. If you want to get out and work out and count your calories, good. If you want to have the lipo, good. If you want to have the bariatric, good. Just at the end of the day, just since your heart is healthy, right, and you're healthy and your blood pressure numbers look good, so everyone was able to reach that same goal at a good health numbers, right? Good healthy numbers. You feel good, you look good, you want to do more because you look good and you feel good. So at the end of the day, we had 3 different people who did 3 different things to really get to the same goal of feeling good mentally, right? Your numbers are good for the doctor, and you feel healthier, and you move differently, and you think differently, right? So I think that's the goal of us saying that no one should be shunned on their decision on how they want to get rid of the fat, right? Just since we get rid of it, right? So kudos to you for just taking the step, like, you know, to say, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to do it for everybody.
And I think it's good, because most Black people, and why we wanted to have this is that, you know, most Black people don't think that other Black people are getting bariatric surgery, or, you know, other Black people go get lipo. I know, Tyrone, when you decided to get it, you know, it was a whole host of your clients who was ready to go on that journey with you. I mean, and then it was just like boom, 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 client after client after client was visiting your doctor, but they felt okay because they knew that somebody else had done it. And sometimes we just need to hear that somebody else did it, and then you won't feel alone, especially somebody else that's Black. You know, LaShondra did it with the workout. That's how she did it. So we have several people we know millions and millions of people. If you watch Biggest Loser on TV, you see that. If you watch Botched, you'll see people on there, getting, smart lipo or getting things done, tummy tucks, breast lifts, and all of that. The whole goal is that whatever your desired body is, however you want to get there, as long as, like you say, Ianta is healthy and that you come out alive, and with all of it, you have to maintain it, whether you work out, like LaShondra said, you can't beat a bad diet, whether you get bariatric surgery, you have to maintain it there, or whether you get lipo. You can get lipo and still, change, don't eat or maintain it, and you have to keep going back up under the knife.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know that lipo is not like it was yesterday. It's totally different because I didn't even go under anesthesia. And I remember having a conversation with my sisters and my mother, and we were talking about that, and they were on the negative side. And that's when I had just had it. And I said to them, well, I had it, which I shocked them. And then I showed them. And then, it was a whole different conversation.
Right. Well, we thank you guys for coming on and being brave enough to
talk about
just to share your story, with us, just to share your story. I want to do the applause. I did the wrong one. Just did the applause to come on to share the story. I'm the host and I'm working the boards and everything. So, but no, thank you guys.
You can, girl.
Listen, we just want to help somebody. This is Main Talk, and but it's not your average conversations about hair. And we just want to spread the good news of what health, wealth, beauty, and hair. Okay, all at the same time. So thank you guys for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I just love you, Ianta.
I love you too, girl.
Look, I was trying to remove her out the room. She won't go.
I can't even get you out the room, Allison. You know what it is.
Listen, I hit remove, and she just will not go out of the room. I don't know if she did something. We trying to. She won't go. Let me see if I put in the weight room. Let's see what that feature work. Okay, listen, I had to throw it in the weight room. She just would not move out. But this was a good conversation. Very good conversation. Very good. Thanks for bringing this topic to Main Talk. It's something that definitely needs to be talked about. I know those who are watching, have something to take away. I know some friends personally that have been, battling with whether they should get surgery or lipo or whatever. And I'll end by saying something that my mother used to say. She used to say, it ain't no need of looking good in the coffin and then not looking good while you're living. So you might as well do what you need to do while you're living to look good. And so, that's what I got to say.
And to feel good.
And to feel good. Because
you can look good, and then if your mind ain't together, you might as well not look good. You know what I mean? It all has to coincide together, and that's why I talked a lot about mental, because it's our mind, it's our mindset of saying something's wrong, we're doing something. And also, before we go, I just want to shout out to my mom. She's been getting up, going walking with me. Today, she's like, I'm not gonna go today because my back is hurting. I said, do a stretch.
Lucille.
So congratulations, Mama. One day at a time. I'm excited. Okay.
Exactly.
On your pictures.
Well, thank you guys for watching Main Talk. Conversations about hair. Uncle Derek said by the time the show get good, we hanging up. But maybe next season we'll stay on for an hour. But right now, we know that everybody's zoomed out. Everybody's always on digital media nowadays, and we don't want to bore you. But we'll see you next Monday, same bat time, same bat channel, and we'll give you a little hint of what we're talking about. But we'll post it on our Main Talk page. Thank you for joining us.
And we'll see y'all. Make sure you go like our Instagram page, please.
And make sure you like our Facebook page, and make sure you follow. Tell them where to follow you at. Ianta, Blackpink.
Blackpink.org.
Blackpink.org, and then of course, Nuratress. All things healthy hair. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You don't know like I know how to cut it, clip it, snip it, flip it, whip it, twist it, curl it, twirl it.
Bye, y'all.
Whip it, girl, whip it.